that the folks that can't make it can pick up where we left off. So my name is Jigna Patel, and I'm one of the project coordinators at E4 Texas. I see in the chat, we have Anand Ayer, a former E4 Texas student that has also introduced himself. Please feel free to use those chat functions and the question and answers. I have them popped up on my monitor so that I can stop and take a break and answer those questions as they come up on the board. So it's lovely to have you this evening. We're going to be talking about E4 Texas and what it's really looked like in the past 3 years. It's a program that started back in 2018. So this would be our 4th year. If we have a program next year, it would be our 4th year of having a cohort. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what the past 3 years have looked like and what we hope for the future of E4 Texas. E4 Texas is a post-secondary program at the University of Texas at Austin. We are part of the Texas Center for Disability Studies. There are 2 big centers in the state of Texas. One is at UT and the other one is at A&M. So I have a little bit of an agenda here. Of course, we can change it as we see fit for our group. But mainly, I would like to start reviewing the PowerPoint at 7:05. I see there's people trickling in, so I want to give them a chance to not fall too far behind. I know it's kind of dinner time right now. And then if we need to, we can take a small break so that folks can meet their needs. And then I want to save some time at the end to answer any questions that those of you that are with us live might have on your mind. And those questions you can do by submitting them in the chat box or the Q&A box. There should be a way for you to unmute yourself or raise your hand. And then on my end, I can allow you to go ahead and use the mic to answer a question if you prefer to verbally ask a question. Great. So I mentioned some of the features on the Zoom link. You should be able to see the Q&A box. That's a great place to ask questions. Of course, you can tap in the chat box as well. This meeting is being recorded. And again, I'm here to talk about E4 Texas, a 1-year post-secondary program for adults with disabilities at the University of Texas at Austin. I do have closed captioning on in case for whatever reason you're not able to see the closed captioning. I know when it is being uploaded to YouTube, that's another time that we can add closed captioning in if that's an issue. All right, I will keep going. All right, so I mentioned E4 Texas is a university-based employment-focused opportunity for people with and without disabilities. And what we're doing is we're targeting very specific career paths in the caregiving field, which include personal care attendant, child care providers, and paraprofessionals or teacher's assistant. And you can see how those 3 really go hand in hand. For example, in a child care setting, you will see teachers' assistants in the classroom helping the main teacher working at child care centers. Personal care attendants also, you can be working with a person in their home that might also be a child. So then there's some overlap in some of these professions. It is our goal at E4 Texas to continue growing the program where we're offering more career paths in the future. But these are our 3 main career goals right now. And so what we're looking for are students that are really interested in helping others complete their activities of daily living in their home or in a day hab, working with children in a child care setting, and also being a teacher assistant in the classroom. So if that sounds like you, you'd be a great candidate for E4 Texas. So this is our cohort back in 2019, summer of 2019. You can see everyone's pretty excited. How come? It was summer, so you can see everyone's in shorts. I'm sure it was a very hot day, but this was the first day of class, so we're all excited. You can see our student that's here on on the chat. Anand is here representing Hook 'em. And then, of course, when COVID hit back in 2020, 2021, we moved to this online and ultimately hybrid model. So we had classes on Zoom and we all learned how to use technology very quickly. This year we have less of Zoom, but it still exists. And it's a thing that we can utilize in case of other emergencies for teachers that are online. Some of the classes that our students audit are online. So then having these skills of utilizing Zoom and things like Canvas makes a great way to keep up with the needs of the current climate. Things change quickly, and we've learned that we're able to adapt to the needs of the environment around us. So that's everyone there from last year. And so this is what our semesters look like. So our goal is we'll be starting the new cohort in 2022, and we have a summer program. That's what really begins the year. So it will start in July. We like to start right after the 4th of July weekend, and we have a 4-week program that happens in July. We go, and then the rest of the semesters are aligned with the UT semester. So the fall semester will begin right after Labor Day and go till the beginning of December. And then spring semester starts near the end of January into early May. So like I mentioned, summer semester is a 4-week college prep program, and students live on campus at the University of Texas at Austin, and they learn independent living skills and self-determination skills. So that first semester, when students are excited to be on campus, they're living away from their families for the first time. They're getting to know each other and their roommates and themselves. And so students have to pass the summer course to move forward in E4 Texas. But it's a really exciting time to learn about disability history, disability advocacy. Students prep a testimonial and do a mock hearing at the Capitol because we're right here in Austin. There's a lot of exciting things happening in the summer. We're learning how to take the bus and meet some of our community partners. And let me just take a pause right here. And I see a question. When you say personal care assistant, are you referring only to children or any age? Yeah, so earlier when I spoke of the 3 career paths, personal care attendant, child care provider, and paraprofessional, that is for any age across the board. So personal care assistant, it could be working with children that have needs in their home, or it could be working with adults, young adults, or it could be working with the elderly population. For example, we have a site at Age of Central Texas, which is like a care home for adults with dementia. So we work really across the spectrum of age as personal care attendant, and we're really customizing what the students are interested in doing, what kind of environment they're looking to work in, what kind of population do they want to serve, and find the best fit for them that way. I hope that answered your question there. So summer semester really gets the ball rolling. It sets the rest of the semesters in motion. So here are some of our students there at the Capitol right before doing their mock hearing. Here are the students at the bus stop ready to head over to JJ Pickle, where we have some other classes. And that's where the Texas Center for Disability Studies is housed as well. So the fall semester, when that gets rolling, students go to classes on UT campus, and we also go meet with community partner organizations around the city of Austin by utilizing the bus. And of course, when we are taking classes, when we're going to community partner organizations, we have mentors, we have interns, we have student staff that are all there helping the group and the class navigate from their housing to community organizations and to classes, and navigating that campus, especially all throughout summer, but also the beginning of fall when we're starting to get into that rhythm of things. So fall builds on those skills learned in summer, and we're adding those professional tracks that we talked about earlier. So personal care attendant, child care provider, and paraprofessional classes. So the E4 Texas fall semester combines classroom instruction with practical career building experience and off-campus volunteer opportunities. So we were really looking to marry both learning on the job through volunteering and also doing some classes that really give an introduction to what these professions look like in the real world and some of the skills that are important to have when you're engaging in that profession. So in addition to those three main career tracks, which students can pick, most of them are picking 2 out of 3, but I've seen students take all 3. In addition to that, students are also required to audit regular university classes with UT faculty. This is really exciting. We have about 6 or 7 professors at UT that know about E4 Texas, that want to have our students in the classroom because they know how valuable it is to have a diverse student population in their classroom. So we have faculty that are in the College of Education, they're at the Department of Natural Sciences, they are in the School of Music, they are in liberal arts, they're in speech and language pathology, just across multiple departments in the university. And that's our goal, is to really pull faculty that are committed to diversity and inclusion, to have our students audit their classes, to have that mutual beneficial relationship where professors are learning from our students and our students are learning from professors as well. In addition to those auditing classes, students will attend Healthy Relationships class with Dr. Nick Winges-Yagnes. She's a force to be reckoned with. She is also faculty at UT, and one of her main specialties is teaching sexual education to adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So she's highly professional and highly educated on these topics, and teach our students everything from how to have healthy communications to talking about pregnancy and contraception, to talking about how to engage in healthy relationships and even break off relationships that aren't healthy. So just really the full spectrum of how to be in a healthy relationship with someone else. And then the final thing, students are also undergoing person-centered planning training with certified trainers. And as Anand mentioned earlier, he is one of our teachers that is there with students. Not only did he undergo the person-centered practice course when he was a student, but he became a trainer through the course of the last couple of years, and now is training other students on how to be self-determined, how to have a plan for your goals, because he is such a professional in that world. I see another question coming through. Does the applicant need to decide which profession they want to do before applying, or can they choose after they enter? That's a great question. I think we would be open to both. So if students know they want to help other people, but they just don't know exactly where their skill set, their backgrounds, or maybe they don't know enough about those 3 fields yet. The summer is a really great time where we expose students to those 3 fields. We go to those community partner organizations. We talk a lot about past experiences that E4 students have had, so that by the time fall rolls around, they'll have a stronger idea of what career path they want to take. That is a great question. Yes, I think I covered everything here. I will keep moving on. So in the spring semester, which is between January and May, students participate in internships in the community, and there are classes on Mondays and Tuesdays. So it looks a little different than the fall semester, which is heavily class-based. We're in class Monday through Thursday for about 4 hours each day. And then on Fridays, we're out in the community volunteering. Well, in spring semester, things change a little bit, where there's less of a class emphasis and more on being out in the community, getting those jobs, getting those internships. So spring looks a little different that way, but we do have our main classes there. One thing I did forget to mention that starts in fall is a peer support group. So that actually begins in summer, where we start talking about how to facilitate a peer group discussion. And we have professionals from Imagine Art come in and talk about what peer support is and how to conduct that kind of discussion in a professional manner. And then in fall, we have peer support group that happen on Mondays, and that will continue to go on Mondays in spring. And it's a great way just for everyone to get together, talk about what's been working really well, talk about what challenges lie ahead, and start preparing for the week. And of course, after successful completion of all 3 semesters, students receive a certificate of completion from the Texas Center for Disability Studies at the University of Texas at Austin. And that is among one of many of the other certifications that's earned throughout the semesters. In addition to that certification, they'll be getting the food handler certification, CPR, AED, and first aid certification for both adults and pediatrics. They'll be getting that person-centered practices certification. They'll get a food allergy training. And those 3, food handler, CPR, allergy, are definitely ones that are valued by daycare centers. And we noticed that many of our community partners really appreciate that our students are coming in with those certifications already. So they're coming into the job market with really strong certifications. They are also becoming level 1 certified peer supporters through that peer support group training that they do starting in summer. And then with the childcare series, we're going through the conscious discipline and what's called CLI Engage. And with the paraprofessional, there's a Region 13 training that Joe Tate, the other project coordinator, is doing. I should add that onto this list. And then for the paraprofessional or personal care attendant, that is the Center for Excellence in Aging Services and Long-Term Care for the lay provider is the curriculum we're using with the School of Nursing here at UT. So who can apply? The main qualifications for this program is that the students need to be 18 years or older. They must have a high school diploma or GED. They must essentially want to live and be more independent and interested in a career within that personal care attendant realm, child care provider realm, or paraprofessional realm. And students must fill out an application and be willing to participate in an interview. The application consists of a resume and an essay, and those can be filled out with, of course, help from teachers and parents, but also it can be presented in different ways. I've seen students submit a PowerPoint or just a video application is great. So there's ways to be creative with that as well. Students must be able to pay tuition fees for their program, either by securing sponsorship by an agency or an organization, or by private pay. And I see a question in the Q&A box. Do you accept high school diploma from homeschool? I don't think we've ever come across that, but it's definitely something that I would follow up with our center directors with, but I don't see why that would be an issue. So yes, I would definitely encourage anyone that has a high school diploma from homeschooling to apply. I think that would be great. All right. So in the past, when we did E4 cohorts in the past, we have had the partnership with the Texas Workforce Commission, and they get to decide, the vocational rehabilitation counselors, whether or not that E4 Texas might be a good fit for our students. So there are many times where students go back and talk to their VR counselor and let them know about E4, and the students, potential students and VR counselors can talk together about whether this would be a good fit. And ultimately, the VR counselor will make a decision on whether or not that'd be a good fit. And other times, VR counselors, vocational rehabilitation counselors at TWC will let us know when they know of a really strong candidate. So we're seeing that happen now. And We're excited to continue to partner with TWC. This is a contract that we renew every year, so there's no guarantee that we'll have this partnership continuing for the next year, but we are very dedicated and excited to continue to work with TWC on this. Housing. So one thing that we really have prided ourselves on for the past 3 years is that we've had a partnership with Dobie 2021, and they've also had a partnership with TWC. So Dobie 2021, for those of you that are in the Austin area, know it's that big high rise in downtown Austin, in smack dab in the middle of campus. It used to be a part of UT, and then it was a privately owned apartment building. And now it's being acquired, again, backed by UT Housing and Dining. So we are excited about Dobie 2021 becoming part of UT Housing again. We are working closely with UT Housing and Dining and TWC to make sure that we can continue to have Dobie be a place that students can go to in the future. We really have enjoyed our experience with them. Students have enjoyed their experience with Dobie. Here are some pictures. So here's a picture of Dobie as the high-rise building. It's really easy when we get lost on campus to find Dobie because it's the building that sticks out. Another great thing about Dobie is there's a food hall right here in the middle. There's tons of different food options, from Italian to Indian to boba to wraps and pizza and stuff. And then Dobie also has this computer hall space, study lounge. And then of course, this game room here that you can see some of our students and Joe taking a class. I think actually this is from an open house in the past when we were in person, which we hope to be again in the near future. And this is a little picture of what the rooms look like at Dobie. In addition, here right on the floor beneath is a Target. So we find that to be really convenient for students as well. And just checking to see the questions. How big are the class sizes? That's a great question. So in the past 3 years, our class sizes have been anywhere between 10 students to 6 students. But we really have a goal of growing that number to something closer to 15 students, I think would work really well. To 20 students, I think would also be great. We were really hitting that stride back in 2019, 2020, but of course, when the pandemic hit, it kind of shook things up and kind of made our cohort smaller, which was a good thing since we wanted that kind of small ratio during that time. But I think we're ready to grow again. The application is out, and I'm noticing a lot of applicants and a lot of inquiries that I'm getting in my email. So I'm excited and hopeful that we're going to have a great big class for the 2022-23 year. Here's some more cool things about Dobie. They have a cool game room. You can see a foosball table. There's lots of space to sit. There's a great gym. Our students are here working out. Gym, treadmill. There's this great big lawn here as well where they host a lot of concerts. So there's a little stage here in the corner, and they'll have different types of events and shows and music happening in this lawn. And it's a great place for us to have lunch or just kind of hang out between classes. I see another question about how many years to graduate. So this is a 1-year post-secondary program. Yes, thank you, Anand, for answering that question. It is a 1-year program, and it has been a 1-year program in the past 3 years. We have some great staff at E4 Texas. We have what we like to call peer mentors that are hanging out with our students in the evening. They often take the bus to go see some cool stuff. You can see our students here at the graffiti wall. I think this was outside the Austin Public Library, which has been remodeled and looks great. This is out by, I think it was like Blues on the Green or some other music festival that was going on. So we have really cool peer mentors in the evening. We also have social work interns that check in one-on-one with students every week. We have volunteers that come to us from different departments that are completing their service learning hours. So we have a great, robust team of, and students really get to interact with all sorts of different types of UT students, from undergrad students to graduate students to postdoc students. It's really great in that way. And of course, they're engaging in campus life. We like to attend as many events that are going on, both on campus or just like in downtown Austin in general. I believe this middle picture here was from the Pecan Festival, but you can see students taking the bus, going out to things. This was back in 2018. And I believe this one here is at the Union, where they were getting ready to watch a movie. So we're constantly encouraging students to participate in other activities around campus after class is done. There are some fun reasons to join. I mean, I'm sure you could think of some few, but the independent skills that students get from living independently, really getting to know themselves, how to advocate for their needs, how to manage their time, all those great things. Students are sharpening their public speaking skills. In the summer semester, students are preparing a presentation on a disability history icon that they've learned through the disability history coursework that they'll be taking. And professors have often asked students to come and speak to their class about a disability history icon. And so there's lots of times to do some group work and sharpen your public speaking skills. I see a question in the chat. How often do students interact with their peer mentors? That's really up to students to decide. Those peer mentors are there in the evenings, and they often come up with really great activities. Anything from, let me help you go grocery shopping, to let's catch up on homework, things like that. So it's up to the students to engage in those after hour activities that happen often between 6 and 9 p.m. So that is up to students to decide. Anand mentioned we prefer that students prefer to be on campus so they're able to experience being independent. Exactly, yes. Do you have a rough idea of what the acceptance rate is? That's a great question. So I don't have a percentage in mind, but I think a strong candidate is one that has a willingness to learn how to help others and is interested in helping others. It's one that wants to learn to live independently, be independent, live on their own, be on campus with peers their age, someone that's wanting to make friends and is open-minded. Yeah, I can't think of the acceptance rate, but I think that strong candidates are those that are willing to learn, willing to take classes, willing to really pave the way. Being that this is going to be our 4th year, we're still breaking down a lot of barriers. We're still learning a lot of new things. So we need students that are bold and fearless. And every student we've had in E4 is definitely that. They are learning how to use Zoom and use technology for the first time because we had to, but also it is really helpful to have that as a backup. They've audited courses that undergrads are taking. They are building new relationships with partners. They're doing jobs that other undergrads similar age are doing. So that would be my best answer for that question there. All right, I will keep moving on. Some testimonials from, I should say, past students. This is a quote from a student. My favorite part of the program was meeting new people and my teachers, and the program is really fun. I enjoyed it. They helped me be more independent. Another student said, value your goals and never give up. Always try again. Yeah, the great thing about E4 is there's a lot of room to try and a lot of opportunities that are going to be given and that students will be exposed to. And it's okay to fail. There's a safe space to try and fail, and you have support to try again. And we're always going to be encouraging folks to try again. Another student said, be ready and be confident that you can do college. That is so true. One thing we like to say to a lot of families, to teachers, is to have high expectations. Whether you're a student looking for E4, have high expectations from yourself that you can be a student at UT Austin, that you can take classes with UT faculty, that you can get a job and live by yourself. And same thing with teachers and families. Students can do this. We've seen it happen. They're given the opportunity, the right environment with supports, they can really do a lot of exciting, new, fun things that even we didn't think of as the program coordinators. There's new ideas and new paths being paved. And another student said, my favorite part has been making new friends. We see a lot of students that when they first come on board, after the interview process, we kind of, and after a student has been accepted, we have a next step, which is a wraparound interview. And during that interview, we talk about some goals. And one of the most reoccurring goal that I'm seeing from students is making new friends and meaningful relationships. And you can see that happening in each cohort is lifelong friendships are definitely being created, and they go on to continue to be each other's roommate, to continue to network with each other and find job opportunities from each other. That has been great. All right, I see another question coming in. Do some students go on to get four-year degrees after this program? Yes, definitely. So I think what's great about E4, it gives you a sneak peek as to what life as a student is like, especially with that auditing component. I think it gives a student a chance to feel more confident that they can apply for a four-year program or a two-year associate at a community college, or whatever next step they want to take. It's a really good stepping stone to that next step of a four-year program. They'll get a chance to meet a lot of undergrads and ask more questions. And then taking those auditing courses is also going to be very valuable at that time. Excellent. Great questions. There's some more students hanging out, doing their thing. We'd love for you to be part of the E4 family. This was one of our first meetings post-pandemic. I remember most folks were vaccinated. We were all going out, taking the bus again the first time, and they all went to Central Market and grabbed snacks and had a little picnic. Yep, again, you can see purchasing stuff at local fairs. We have a student with a fellow classmate support animal. So great fun. I mentioned a little bit about the application. So the application is currently open on our E4 Texas website. There'll be a link at the end of this PowerPoint for that. If you type E4 Texas, Texas in Google, it'll come up. But there you can find the application. There are several questions in the application process. I mentioned that there's a need to create an essay and a resume that kind of really highlights why you're interested in the program and why you would be a good fit. Identifying 2 references that can complete a short survey is also helpful. And I'm sorry, the deadline on here is wrong. That'll be 2022. So the applications are open. The deadline will be March 15th, 2022. All application packets must be fully completed, and there's a $50 application fee. There's a link at the end of the application that will take you to pay that fee online, or you can submit a check by mail, and all that information is there on the application as well. I touched on this briefly before. What can we do right now? So teachers, encourage your students to join school clubs and organizations, give assignments with deadlines, give some tests, encourage them to volunteer in their community, really setting those high expectations, and let them know that they can go to college. There are tons of post-secondary programs throughout the state and the country. So in case you're joining us from another part of the state or country and want to know what's in your area, I would highly recommend you check out thinkcollege. I it might be .net or .com, Think College. There you'll find a list of all of post-secondary programs that are similar but different to E4 Texas. And families, I encourage students to volunteer and do some part-time work and just start giving some independent living skill tasks. Continue to have students do their laundry on their own, to put away dishes, to start cooking some small meals, setting up their own doctor's appointments, things like that. Thank you. Someone put that thinkcollege.net, yes, on the chat there. That is really helpful. Can E4 students join any all organizations on campus, or does the program work with only certain campus organizations? That's a great question. So as I mentioned, we are in our 4th year, so we are still paving those partnerships with student organizations. But what I can say and what I've seen is all clubs and organizations that we've worked with have invited our students with open arms. For example, Young Life is a Christian faith-based club on campus, really close to Adobe, that our students have engaged in, and that group has been very accepting of our students and treated them just like every other student. And you know, they've gone on field trips together and done things together. So I haven't seen any issues, and we as E4 Texas staff are happy to bridge that communication and help create that partnership with the student organizations on campus. Yeah, it's been a very accepting culture at the university and the student clubs. We're building more and more partnerships every year with different organizations, different child development centers on campus, with different faculty and things like that. So I think we're really we've really like just hit our stride and are building tons of relationships, and there's a big push for diversity and inclusion on campus. So we've seen that being reflected in the way that other organizations are receptive to our students and excited to have them on. Excellent. Thanks, Anand. Oh, so I've talked about a few of our community partners. So here's just a list of some of the many folks that we've worked very closely with. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but we've worked with all these community partners in a variety of settings. We've had students go there to volunteer. We've had these organizations come and present and talk about their organizations. We've had these agencies provide jobs for our students, and the students have interviewed there and continue to work there to this day. Some from 3 years ago are still working at some of these locations. Continuation of our partners around that we've befriended and have great relations with. So I mentioned our website earlier, so you can find us at disabilitystudies.utexas.edu/E4Texas. If you have any other questions, you can reach me too, jigna.patel, that's JIGNA.PATEL @utexas.edu. And we do have some time. I kind of powered through this fast without that break that I said we would give earlier, but I kind of figured that we were good on time, and this way we have more time for questions. I am going to look here and see if there's any more questions coming in. Do students live on campus all 3 semesters? Yes, they do. So in summer, they are definitely required to stay there. That's when we really want to start feeling out where they're at with their independent living skills. Do we need to help troubleshoot, how to clean their rooms a little better? Do we need to help them make sure that they're doing their laundry a little better? Do we need to help with hygiene and things like that? So summer's a really great time to begin assessing those needs. And then in fall and semester, we're really helping students follow through with that. So yes, definitely all 3 semesters is ideal. Do we need to apply through TWC or apply first and then coordinate with them later? That's a great question. So right now, our application is open on our website, and I definitely encourage you to let your TWC counselors know that you are applying for E4 Texas. But because we continue to renew our contract with TWC every year, there's no guarantee that TWC can provide the tuition costs, like cover the cost for tuition. So I think it is a great idea to go ahead and speak to your TWC counselor about the fact that you're interested in this program and that you'll be applying, and just I'd like to also keep everyone in the loop. So as you're finished applying, let them know, hey, I finished the application. I'm excited to hear back. And then when we start reaching out to students for that first initial interview, which happens around the end of March, usually during spring break, that's a good time to keep your TWC officer informed. Hey, I got an interview. This is what's going on. So just making sure everyone's in the loop is really helpful. Where do most of your students come from? San Antonio, Austin, Houston area? Curious about the internships for the last semester. Another great question. So I would say we have a really diverse group of students coming in from all over the state of Texas. What I have seen is that most students are from the Austin area, and that might be because more of the vocational rehabilitation counselors in the Austin area know about us, or because when I tend to go out to transition fairs and schools, it tends to be more in the Austin area. But I am making a very conscious effort to reach out to all the different regions in Texas, East Texas, North, South, and all of the areas to make sure that all the schools know that we exist and that we're here, and so that we have a diverse student population from E4. But yeah, I've seen a good mix of where students are coming from throughout Texas, a good mix of genders and backgrounds and ethnicities and age. It's been really great in that way. The second part of that question is curious about internships for last semester. So in spring, there are internships, and that really varies and depends on the student and what they're looking for. So right around this time of the year, as fall semester is wrapping up, we really hone in on like, what kind of environment did you like being in when you were volunteering? What kind of people do you want to work with? What kind of agency do you want to be a part of? What is the type of compensation you're looking for? And we look at all of those things and we individualize that, and we start preparing resumes, and the students are the ones that are out there sending their resume out, applying to jobs, doing all the legwork, and we are here simply to help support them. So it's really a case-by-case situation. A lot of our students like to work with agents, like bigger agencies like Meals on Wheels, because there might be a branch that is also based in your hometown. So if your goal is to come to E4, test out living by yourself, testing out taking classes with the intention of going back to, let's say, Houston, and you know Houston has a Meals on Wheels branch there, and you have that relationship already, then maybe that's a goal. For the students that are working in childcare, they might want to work at the Child Development Center on UT campus. There are 3 different childcare centers and 1 research facility that we have connections with, and that they can volunteer with first, and then potentially intern with after they do an interview. So there's a lot of variety of internships based on what the student is interested in doing. We like to customize that. The next question is, when do applications open, and when is the deadline for submission? That's a great question. So the application usually opens up in October, and the deadline to finish applying will be March 15th. That's 2022. Great. Yes, one very exciting thing that we heard about is a track in the STEM field. So we're always seeking out grants and funding opportunities, and a very exciting opportunity has been approached to us about creating a STEM track that's science, technology, engineering, and medical. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but math, thank you, math. So we have some interest in developing a career path in the STEM field. So like I mentioned, our goal is to have a plethora of career paths to choose from, whether it's STEM or culinary or English, literature, film. I think all of that would be great. But this is where we are right now with our 3 career paths in the caregiving field, which, we expect that students might not want to do that as their forever job, but it's a really great skill to have, because not only can you apply it to find a job, because there is such a huge need for those kind of jobs, but we find that students have a lot of experience in this field naturally, because they have taken care of their siblings as a babysitter, or they were kind of like the classroom TA for their classroom setting. So we find that this is a very natural career path for some of our students, because they have that experience coming in. Let's see if there are any other questions. Please come to Houston. I've been spreading the word. Yeah, we would love to come to Houston. I think there's been some career fairs that transition fairs that I did virtually. But yeah, well, I'll definitely look into Houston. Augustine, if you have any specific school that you think would be that would benefit from hearing about E4 Texas, you can email me at that email address, jigna.patel@utexas.edu, and I can reach out to your school's transition teacher and find out how I can get materials about E4 Texas shipped to your school. All right. Excellent. Well, I think I've covered most questions, and I will just be on the line kind of waiting. Oh, here we go. Here's one question. What is the planned size for the class of 2022? So that's a good question. I think we are hopeful to have a bigger size, something closer to 15 to 20 students, I think is pretty manageable. So I don't know what it's going to look like for sure, but yeah, our plan is to be somewhere in that 15 to 20 student range. Anand, if you have anything else you might want to say, maybe from a student perspective about E4 Texas, feel free to chime in. I'm going to just, here we go. There you go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anand Iyer. Like Jigna Patel was saying, I was in the E4 Texas program 2 years ago as a student. Then last year, they brought me back as a teaching assistant mentor, where I got to bond, use my skills that I was taught when I was in the program. And then currently this semester, so when my role ended back in June, they asked me if I wanted to teach the person-centered practice planning classes. And so I am right now doing it various weeks, and I'm ready to take any questions that you might have from a former student, staff member standpoint.
Yeah, that's helpful. Anand, maybe you can speak to about living on campus. What was that like for you? Was that helpful? In which ways did you grow by living on campus and living independently?
Okay, so when I was okay, so when my group and I, we were on campus, we were one of the first groups where it was before COVID hit back in summer of 2019. My group and I, we were the first students ever to complete. We were then, after COVID struck, we were all forced to live at home, attend our classes online. So for some of us, it was a very, 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 I guess you can say easy and more easy, less difficult time, because one, we were all there to learn from each other. And from my standpoint, it was a great way for me to learn how, like, to develop my skills that I needed to live independently as a functioning individual.
Yes, excellent. Thanks, Anand. What do you think about living on campus and navigating to the classrooms and pre-COVID, and even now when we're back on campus? What do you think about, reminiscing back on your days at Adobe, having a roommate, things like that? Do you feel like that was valuable experience?
Oh, for me, my roommate situations were no problematic. I'm like, okay, yeah, we're gonna live independently, no fighting, no nothing. We're just all gonna get along. And then as far as getting around campus, like Jigna was saying, for me, it was easy. All I had to do was polish off a few skills, such as, navigation, learn how to become a better navigator, and it works. And now that I'm back to being a teacher with the program, I guess you could say my skills have been somewhat heightened. I'm still working on some things, but other than that, it's okay.
Oh, great. Thanks for sharing. I see another question here. I heard that this has been modeled after PATS at Texas A&M, which is a 2-year program. Will this program turn into a 2-year program in the future? That's a great question. And yes, this program has been modeled after PATS at Texas A&M, and they did recently become a 2-year program. And I think that was a great move. And we've definitely talked about becoming a 2-year program in the future. And what I've noticed in the past too is the 1-year program is great. We see tons of improvement. Things are really moving along. Students are getting their own their jobs. They're really enjoying learning to live independently. They want to continue to live independently in the Austin area. But because the program ends within the year, it's hard to keep that follow-up on that, because we're moving to our next cohort. So I think the 2-year program is something we've discussed and will continue to discuss if that's a possibility for E4 Texas in the future. Oh, great questions, everyone. Well, I really appreciate you all taking your time to learn about E4 Texas, kind of its past, present, and future. And if you have any other questions, like I said, you can feel free to email me. That's probably the best way to reach me. You can learn more about the Texas Center for Disability Studies at this website as well, and all of the great programs it has to offer. And if you have any other questions, I'll continue to stay on the line for a couple more minutes. But I thank you for your time. I'll give you a couple minutes of your evening back, and enjoy the rest of your week and weekend. I look forward to seeing some of your applications coming through in the next couple of months.